On Predetermined Paths, Achieving Literacy and Finding My Voice Within the Machine. I'm currently sitting in my best friend's sister's house right now, 31 years old, a record award-winning photographer and top producing life insurance agent, unable to get hired at the Circle K down the street. Let me tell you how I got here, because the path I took makes a strange kind of sense once you see a whole. But first, and with full transparency, I am going to let you guys know I use AI to capture and organize my thoughts through transcription utilizing my memo. I'm not trying to hide it or pretend that these words came out perfectly formed without being cleaned up and refined. The fact-checking capabilities, the organizational support, and the ability to refine my thoughts in real time, this technology has made me so much smarter. It made me so much money and opened so many more doors to prestigious things and people in my life. Alhamdulillah, praise God. I learned a long time ago that the best way to truly understand something is to read it, speak it, and then rewrite it from memory. I used to do this with books and study notes, and now I do it with my own life, transcribing my thoughts and then reading them back to myself, seeing what I actually said versus what I used to say, a dark, murky mirror, if you will. In our increasingly cyberpunk world, this might be one of the most important skills. Knowing how to use tools without letting them use you. AI can augment your intelligence, help you organize your thoughts, and refine your understanding, but it can't replace or even create a voice for yourself. Only you can do that. I'm asking you to support this work financially. $20 a month, $200 annually, or $2,500 as a founding member of Erie Life Health and Surety LLC. But absolutely everything I write and produce is free. If my experience help you, if this helps anybody that was in any predicament like I've ever been in, get through the day, that's payment plenty for me. The subscription is for those blessed enough with abundance that they can share without it affecting their pockets. Now, who am I? My name is Kevin David Mayo II. I'm a full-time surety bail bond agent, a full-time life and health insurance agent, and a full-time professional content creator. My production partner is Pierre Coleman, a culinary artist, a visionary actor, and a blessed screenwriter, and my best friend and my right-hand man. That man has a vision that's going to change the world, inshallah. But that's who I am now. To understand how I got here and why it matters, you need to hear about my first factory job. The factory, where I found my voice. For roughly 1/5 of my life, about 6 years total, I worked at Ventura Plastics. That's what we called it, the finish line, the dead-end factory in town. Ironically, I worked at an actual finish line before that, but that's neither here nor there. The first 90 days were hell. Not metaphorical hell, actual hell. 100-degree heat, debris falling from the ceiling onto workers, 2 or 3 people hospitalized just because the building was dilapidated and falling apart. Management watched black and brown employees differently, timing our bathroom breaks and waiting for us to slip up. I watched people come in 5 or 10 minutes late because their babysitter fell through and get walked out that same day. Their 89 days of work erased. No phones, no music, just you and the line and the engineers carefully designed ergonomic plans for building F-150 headlights. 12-hour shifts, oftentimes 7 days a week. I took my brain out and did what I was told. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'd worked enough jobs to know the game, but then something changed. I think a supervisor tried something inappropriate with a female employee. The details were whispered, but never really confirmed. But then suddenly, to shut us up, they let us listen to music. That changed everything. With music, the hours became bearable. I worked my 12-hour shift building headlights, but in my head, I was diving deep into hip hop that I'd only heard in passing growing up. I created a schedule for mornings for classic albums I missed, afternoons for new releases, late shift for deep cuts and B-sides. I went from casual listener to student, learning the history, the references, and the technical skills. I watched video essays about production techniques, consumed long form content about hip hop and culture in general. I felt whole. Music led me to film commentary, which led me to television analysis, which led me to understanding narrative structure. I consumed grade A cinema and pop culture, all while my hands built the same headlights assemblies over and over again. My repetitive work freed my mind to actually think. I see people who now brag about not watching TV, and I notice that they're not often as sharp as they think they are. Programming, consumed thoughtfully and in moderation, teaches you how stories work, how cultures move, and how power operates. Even going deep on Reddit threads taught me how to research, how to verify, how to think critically, and you only do that by watching way too much TV. For 3 years, I was fine. Not happy, but fine. I had my routine: work, music, home, and repeat. I stood up to bosses occasionally, and I flirted with girls on the line, and I had my moments of freshness and degeneracy. I had relationships, some that mattered, some that didn't, women who shaped me in ways that I'm still trying to understand. I was building something inside myself even as my hands built headlights. And then I started speaking up about what I saw: union violations, discriminatory practices, and when one of my best friends got fired on what felt like manufactured charges, they said he took his glasses off or something, and nobody wore their glasses properly inside Ventra. And then there were new company rules that suddenly superseded union protection. I fought for his job. I went hard, loud, and I documented everything. They put me in the crosshairs after that. I got shoved by a manufacturing tech in front of 20 or 30 witnesses. The supervisor who had fired my friend wasn't on it. They were testing me, baiting me, waiting for me to react so they could justify getting rid of me. I told them that it was happening, and they didn't care. Eventually, I had to make a choice: keep my mouth shut and keep my job, or speak my truth and face my consequences. I chose truth. They gave me every opportunity to back down, to transfer lines, or just to say I had Tourette's or something and move on. I said, no, I'm not crazy. I believe in consequences. And I walked out of there with a clear conscience. That moment changed everything. The photographer, building community legitimacy. But before I left Venture for good, they laid us off. There was a fire in a Ford factory somewhere, supply chain disruption, and nobody knew when we'd be back. I was sitting at my buddy's sister's house, smoking, drinking, playing games, feeling stagnant, and I'd bought a Nikon D3300 a few years back, and I had been taking pictures casually. One day, I just posted a photo of myself with the camera, with the caption that said, "Let me take your picture. I'm a photographer. $5 sessions." And people responded immediately. That's when I learned about crowdsourcing, about community validation. If enough people in your community elect you to a position, you naturally fulfill that role. There are limits, regulatory stuff, expertise requirements, but for creative work, the community decides who's legitimate. I embrace the streets. I walked around town with my camera, meeting people, building trust. Hood girls, dope boys, business owners, families, everybody wanted photos. I brought people together for photography shoots and tried my hardest to build a creative community. I started a podcast called Ideas the Podcast that covered news stories and hip hop stories. I had a pretty big splash. It worked until it didn't. Petty beef, people who wouldn't collaborate because someone else was involved, usually small town politics, but I kept going. I enrolled in the Nikon Digital Film Academy. I took courses while still working at Ventra, studied the technical side. By the time the pandemic hit, I was established. I'd photographed 82 weddings, and my work appeared in Cleveland Scene magazine, on billboards, in the Plain Dealer, the Toledo Blade, and the Sandusky Register. My photos circulated widely, thousands of shares across social media, reaching into the hundreds of thousands of views. But I couldn't make it sustainable. People wanted free work or for me to get paid in exposure. The print sales never materialized, and I was making between $1,000 and $1,500 a month from photography, supplemented by my venture checks and whatever day jobs I could find. But it wasn't enough. I was still working at Venture during all this, still building headlights, still searching for the path that would make me legitimate outside my predetermined destiny. The insurance years, learning the system. I needed money, real money. My 401k from Venture was driving up. My mother kept saying that I needed to move out, and I was tired of just surviving. Now, here's some important context. I'd gotten my surety bill license back in 2013. My mother had built a successful surety bail bond business over the last 20 years, one of the few black women striving in a white-dominated industry, and she kept telling me, no, I wasn't ready. My social media presence was too controversial. I needed to wait. The path was there, but she was holding the gate closed. So I got my licenses in life and health, and I started with American Income Life Insurance. And if you're thinking about insurance, let me save you some time. Run far away from American Income and Globe Life. They're MLMs that export new agents and ruin your ability to work with better carriers later. But I didn't know that then. I threw myself into it. I started the Financially Free podcast and created content about financial planning and estate protection. And I worked my personal network hard. I became one of the top producers in my region. I'm not exaggerating, verifiable numbers and top tier performance. The problem with commission sales, your personal market always runs dry. The company gave me D-list leads while priming for better prospects for senior agents. The whole system was designed to churn through new people. I left and I joined a brokerage, and I had another record year. Then they flagged me for selling too many policies in one area and used that as an excuse to claw back my commissions. Tens of thousands of dollars gone. And here's where everything's connected in the worst way. When I got my insurance licenses and I left my mother's agency, AIA Surety, to join American Income, that triggered a review of her Buff account and her paperwork by her parent insurance company. They found paperwork irregularities spanning 2 decades and used civil court judgments to effectively rob her of her retirement. My siblings blamed me. Maybe they're right. Maybe my search for legitimacy outside the family business destroyed her generational wealth. Shit. That weight sits heavy with me sometimes. Full circle, what legitimacy really means. And here's where I am right now. I finally have my bail bonds licensing across 7 states. I've combined everything I've learned, photography, content creation, sales, and technical skills, all into one career. I have the potential to make $17,000 to $45,000 per week, and I'm not bullshitting. I'm literally contacted by that many clients that need bail bondsmen across these 7 states. But I need $12,500 to fully capitalize upon that. I don't have it. I'm living at the mercy of my best friend's sister, submitting applications to Circle K and Taco Bell, getting rejected or given the runaround. Record award-winning photographer, top producing insurance agent, can't get hired for minimum wage work. And you know what I've learned? Legitimacy isn't something you earn from the system. The system doesn't want you legitimate. Like, they realize that even with minimum wage, I could do whatever I wanted and continue to make the world my way. The system doesn't want you to have your way. It wants you to be useful. It wants you to be quiet. It wants you to be grateful for the opportunity to build F-150 headlights for $24 an hour on 12-hour shifts while they time your bathroom breaks. Real legitimacy comes from community, from the people who seen my $5 sign and said, yes, you are a photographer. From families who trusted me to document their weddings. From the clients who let me protect their futures with life insurance. And from you, reading this right now. I was born into the bail bonds business. My mother built something powerful, and I spent years running from it, trying to prove that I can make it another way. Every path I took, factory worker, photographer, insurance agent, family man, it was just a circle that always brought me back to where I started, but transformed. I'm not the same person who would have taken over the family business at 22. I've been humbled, educated, broken down, and rebuilt. I've learned how systems work by having them chew me up. I've learned how to recreate by being forced to constantly reinvent myself. And I've learned how to teach by having to figure everything out alone. Why I'm writing this. This Substack is a part of that circle. I'm using AI tools the same way I used music in the factory, not to replace my thinking, but to augment it, to help me understand what I believe. I'm writing these essays to decrease degeneracy, to raise consciousness, and to show that paying attention doesn't have to be exhausting or elitist. I want my words to bring people solace. I want to show you that you can use technology without being used by it. I want to prove that legitimacy is something you build with your community, not something you beg from institutions designed to deny it. My mother is a bail bondsman. My siblings are involved in the business. For most of my life, I was told that this would be my path unless I could take what she sacrificed and build something to create something better. I spent years trying to create that something better outside the family framework. Now I realize I'm not creating something better than what she built. I'm creating something that honors it, extends it, and transforms it for a new generation. This Substack is part of that transformation. Every essay, every piece of analysis, every bit of advice, it's all free. I'm documenting my journey in real time. The victories, the failures, the lessons I learned from factory floors and insurance offices and wedding photography gigs. I won't leave a single stone unturned in my research. I'll turn on every conceivable angle. But I am human. I make mistakes. Check my work against what you can discover yourself. That's how we all grow. Allah is the greatest, and I'm merely a servant trying to do right by the gifts I've been given, by the opportunities I've squandered, and by the lessons that I've learned the hard way. If my experience helps you navigate your own path, If reading about my mistakes saves you from making them, if my research gives you a head start in life, if my story reminds you that the path isn't linear and legitimacy isn't what they told you it was, then this work will have meant something, and I'm grateful to God for that. Who is this for? The subscription model exists purely for those who want to support this work financially. But the work itself is free and for everyone. This is for the kid working the factory line, wondering if there's more. The one who gets tired of watching the same TV show or listening to that same album and seeks something deeper, who looks out into the stars and wonders about life beyond the line. This is for the person who got fired for speaking the truth. The one that said, "Fuck you, take that job, I don't need that shit," and walked out with their head held high. This is for anyone that's been told that they're not legitimate enough, not credentialed enough, and that they're not quiet enough. You are brave enough. Your community will tell you so if you listen, and the system will fight you, but the circle will bring you back home transformed. Let's walk this path together. Kevin David Mail II, Erie Life Health and Surety. Photographer, bail bondsman, life insurance agent, writer. Please support this work for $20 a month or $200 a year. You can also become a founding member of Erie Life Health and Surety for $2,500. All essays remain free regardless.